welcome to my podcast Life Adventures Taught Me. In today's episode I will be talking about how to be more decisive. It's a thing that I've been thinking about recently a lot, and I have been comparing myself before and now, and I can say that I developed in decisiveness a lot more, and I think that I can share some tips that would be really useful for you. So today I won't be using a microphone because I don't know, we have some technical problems, like always something appears either with phone or microphone, but it's not gonna stop me from creating a new episode. It's gonna be great. Let me first kill this fly. Throughout our life, we encounter ourselves in many situations where we are not so decisive. We cannot decide should we choose one thing or another. So I think being decisive and sharing some tips about how to be more decisive is a really useful thing, because if it was there someone who would tell me all these tips to my younger self, I would really appreciate it. That's why I came across this idea to share my tips and my experience. So how throughout life I became more decisive. In many situations I encounter myself, it's hard for me to decide, but I'll share some tips that help me overcome it, not overthink. Being decisive, I think it's really connected to confidence, because when you are decisive, for example, you have to choose between two options. First option, second option, you don't know which one to take. But when you are decisive, you just go for one option. That's what I always do. I choose one and I see if it's for me or not. I get the feedback, I get the information. Is this option good for me or not? And then over there I can realize, oh, maybe I made a mistake, I should take and switch to the other option, or yeah, I like it, I'll continue with this option. It's always better than staying in one place and thinking over and over which one of those options are better for me, the best for me. When I am more decisive over there, I feel much more confident, because I know what I'm going for, what I'm looking for exactly. So for example, when you go shopping, but I don't have enough money, I can only buy either shoes or a really good sweater. So it can be stressful if you start overthinking, oh shit, which one of those two should I buy? If you cannot decide which one is it, you cannot distinguish what is better for you of those two, just choose one. When you are decisive, with this example, you just go to shopping center and you are like, okay, I can see some sweaters on the side, or I can see some shoes on the side, both of them, I need them, but what I came for today is that I came to, let's say, buy the sweater. Many situations that I was like, we can use this example, choosing between two stuff, like for example shopping. I've been feeling so stressed about it, and I didn't really enjoy the time while I am shopping, because I'm still not decisive. I still didn't decide which one of those two should I buy and which one of those two is better for me, because I want to buy both. But obviously, if you cannot, if you don't have money for both, just choose one and go with it, because then even when you buy the sweater, you're gonna feel bad, oh my god, but maybe I should have bought the shoes, and you still will not enjoy that feeling of shopping. You don't get to enjoy it during that time. Like when you already bought, you should be happy, oh my god, like I bought the sweater, I'm so happy. The next thing I'm gonna buy, it's gonna be shoes. When you are really not decisive, you still overthink, you create anxiety, and that anxiety will ruin your mood, it will ruin your time while you're shopping, maybe even after when you buy one of those things, because you're still gonna think, oh my god, did I make the right choice, or did I do it wrong or correct? And you're just rethinking instead of just like buying one stuff and enjoying it and appreciating that you have it. So I think that many of us, we encounter ourselves in this kind of problem. So as I mentioned before, being decisive plays a big role in being confident, because you know what you came for, you know what you are looking for exactly, and you go straight with that plan. And then whatever situation in your life you have, it works this way, because I can imply it in many situations that I have not been decisive, and I just remember all the anxiety and all the kind of not a good feeling that I feel like I wasted my time on thinking. Even when I decided for one thing, I'm still fighting in my head like, oh, but which option is correct? That's like really fucked up thing. Also, another thing is a bad thing when you have like too many options. So when you have only two options, it's easier to choose and go for one, but when you have 4 or 5, I cannot imagine how hard it can be to some people, to people who are not decisive at all. So I hope to you people who feel not so decisive that this episode will help you out, and it will help you imply some of the strategies that I use, not to waste my time on overthinking, but choosing one thing, going for it, and enjoying my time instead of it. Being decisive for me, it means that you know exactly what you want, know exactly what you're gonna go for. For me, being decisive is when you decide for one thing and you go for it. Okay, you can make mistakes sometimes with this kind of example, but I can assure that in most of the examples it will work out, because already we have 5 alternatives what we want to buy. Each one of them, it has pros and cons, but each one of them serves us good, and there is always a reason behind why we need some of those stuff. So what are the benefits of it when you are decisive is that there is no overthinking, and that overthinking, it's not making anxiety. You're having much better quality time. You have improved outcomes because you save your time on not overthinking and wasting on it, like thinking what is the best, because you act immediately. You buy more time, and I think that you are saving yourself time, a lot of time, when you are decisive. And I think that I really need it. I don't consider myself not decisive person, but when I was younger, I was much more decisive. And the 5th benefit of being decisive is really important thing: increase confidence. So when you are decisive, you increase your confidence because you know what you exactly want. And some of the psychological barriers that would be for decisiveness, first of all, I would say fear of failure. Fear of failure, we can go with the example. You're choosing right now which direction you want to take in your life, what studies you want to take. I can give my example: tourism, meteorology, or physical education, some sports. I was not decisive, and I was thinking which one is going to be the best for me. At the end, I chose tourism, but I think each one of them would come good for me, because all of those 3 things were things that I was interested in, and it's never too late to come back to them. So it's just like I decided for one and I went for it, and I don't really regret it. Fear of failure in this case, we are thinking, what if I choose this, for example, tourism, and I don't like it, and I made mistake, oh my god, I'm gonna lose a complete year, and then I want to switch to another university of physical education and sports. But what if I choose sports? Then maybe it's gonna be really hard for me to find a job. But what if I choose meteorology? It's too much physics and mathematics, and I can get crazy of those, all the calculations and all those stuff. So I just want to point out, like, this was the fear of failure. Like, what if I do it? What if I choose one of these options, these alternatives, and I make mistakes? So what? I think it's much better if you choose one of those things, go for it, and then you will see, you will get the feedback, you will get the information if this thing is for you or not. If it's not, you can easily switch to another one, but you are more richer, you have more information what is better for you, because you already tried one stuff, and it's better than just staying and spending more time and still choosing. There is a reason why you put them as alternatives, as options for you to choose. None of them is mistake. In this case, I think there is no correct thing to do. There is no correct direction to take. There is no correct thing to choose. There is no right path to take. because each one of them were right. The right path is to go study tourism, the right path is to go study meteorology, the right path is to go study sports and physical education, because each one of them will bring you something good that you like, and from there you'll find your way towards the things that you like. Another psychological barrier is we need to embrace imperfection. Sometimes we stress too much and we are not decisive. We just wait for a situation to be perfect. We should embrace imperfection and imperfect situations or imperfect choices, because none of the choices that we make in our life is perfect, because each one of them has some good and bad things. When you have more alternatives, some of them can be better in a certain thing and worse in another thing. And the third barrier that I already mentioned that I would point out is overthinking. Overthinking is never good. The less we overthink, the better we feel. In our modern society now, the modern type of lifestyle that we have, the most of us, majority of people, are unhappy with one of the biggest influences, overthinking. It's like kind of an illness, modern illness of overthinking. I was analyzing even myself many times, and I have realized that in many periods I was like super negative person, and whenever I have free time and everything is fine, my brain is like looking for a negative thing. And the more I do podcasts, I have more social media around me, and then it's even harder. I have realized that this year I had so much influence of social media that my brain, it really got ill with overthinking, and that's something that I really need to work on. And I think majority of people in my surrounding and my age, and even like all ages, we all have problem with overthinking more than before, because we get so much information around us, and many information we don't really need it, and then we provide to our brain, to our mind and mindset, like so much information that is not necessary, and then like it's hard to be decisive over there with all this information, and it's hard to choose when you have so many alternatives. So most of the time having too many alternatives, it's not good. Having too much information is the reason of overthinking, and in this case of being decisive, too much alternatives will give you more space for more overthinking. So we should work on ourselves being more decisive, avoid the fear of failure as much as we can do, not looking for perfect situations, and reducing overthinking also as much as possible. So what are the strategies to improve decisiveness, to be more decisive? Let's back it up. First of all, clarify your values. You find your core values, identify what truly matters to you, what is really important to you, and according to that, then start deciding. That will help you see what truly matters to you, and it will help you see what are your preferences, and then according to your preferences you can see which situation or which choice in your life is better for you, first, second, or third. Sometimes we forget our core values, and it's really good to think about them, bring them out from your body, your mind, from your intuition, see what you have, and from there see what are your preferences and what are the things that truly matter to you, and according to that you will be more decisive immediately, because you will see what are the things that mean to you the most. The second strategy is limit the options. As I mentioned before, it's not good to have too many options, because it will provoke overthinking. The more options you have, more undecisive you will be. Try always to cut it and set the limit and bring it to only 2 or 3 of them, because it will be much easier for you to decide. The third good tip and strategy is to start small. In this case, start with the small decisions. For example, small decisions, they can be about wearing and eating. What you're gonna eat when you are, for example, in the restaurant and you are choosing between 2 meals. And I found myself sometimes I couldn't decide which choice should I make because I wanted to eat both, but they are totally different. You just go for one and then don't spend any more time on overthinking. Did you make a good choice of choosing the right meal? Maybe the other meal was better. It's just waste of time. It's just overthinking. It just creates anxiety. It just stops you from being in the present moment, and you do not really enjoy it. And actually, we are making our life more complicated with overthinking. And when we have little options, and when we just choose one of those options in the situations where it's not really important, for example, what you're gonna wear for work, what you're gonna eat in the restaurant, just pick one, because in that way we are creating our life more simple and we appreciate it and we enjoy it more. Because when you are not decisive, it just doesn't feel good and you create so much anxiety, and the time is passing and you don't really enjoy the time and you're still thinking if you made the right choice. So I think that being a not decisive person is a really bad thing, and that you are really missing out a lot by spending that time with overthinking, where you could spend that time just choosing one of the options, going outside and living life to the fullest and just being happy and satisfied and confident with your decision. So being decisive and confident is like really closely related, and they impact on each other. And when you are more decisive and when you don't overthink too much, you're at the same time more confident. And the fourth strategy, imperfection. It's better to learn from mistakes than to fear them. We are waiting for the perfect moment, perfect situation to do many things in our life, and at the end those perfect moments, they never come. So we should avoid waiting for perfect situations and embrace imperfection. For example, sometimes we are afraid to speak up in front of other people because it's not perfect situation. We don't want to speak up, we don't want to be judged by other people, but maybe those situations where you need to be more brave and speak up in front of other people, they're gonna judge you. Maybe that will bring you closer to the thing that you're looking for and aiming for and going towards, and maybe that's something that you need to do in order to get the answer. That way you will get what you actually need. You will not get these things if you are waiting for the perfect situations, because in many cases perfect situations and moments, they don't appear and they don't come. So we should embrace imperfection. Let's see what are the key tips that we had in this episode. So when you are not decisive, when you cannot choose between 2, 3 or more alternatives, more options, just go for one. From there you will get the information if it's right for you or not. If you like it, you continue that way. If you don't, you switch to another alternative options, and there you will find what is the best option for you. Second one, it's listen to your intuition, listen what is better for you. Even when we sometimes make mistake, it's better to make mistake by listening to ourselves than other people, because then we're gonna be more like blaming other people. Oh, I shouldn't have listened to them. And to me, it happened many times, and what I now embrace more is that I listen more to myself even when I make mistakes, because it feels better to make mistake by listening to yourself than to make mistake by listening to other people. Listen what is your intuition telling you. Even if it's wrong, you will realize and you will learn from there. Try to reduce all the options you have to 2, 3. It's gonna be much easier to decide between only a few things than like many more. And that way you are more focused and you don't overthink that much. In many situations, there is no right thing to do. As my example of studying, if you have more options, whatever you choose, each one of them is correct, and each one of them can be good for something. You will learn something from it. So there is no right way. The life is about choices, and the more decisive you are and the more you keep your life simple, you will be also more confident, because you will stick to your core values. When you imply all of these strategies and all of the tips, for you it will be much easier to just pick one, go for it, and you will be much more confident. So this is where I would like to finish today's episode. The sun is slowly coming down and I hope you saw me good during this episode. Thank you for listening to my podcast Life Adventures Taught Me. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, that you learned something from it. And if you like this episode, you can subscribe. You can follow me on my Instagram, Don Alejandros, and my TikTok profile, Don Adventure, on YouTube. Also Don Adventure and podcast on my Spotify, Life Adventures Taught Me. You can leave in the comments some of your tips, how is actually working for you, how you became more decisive, what are the tips that help you throughout your life to become more decisive. So any tip is always welcome. So see you in the next episode, and let's see where the next episode will take us to. Ciao, ciao!